So welcome to the Injury to Recover YouTube channel. My name is Blaine and this is Greg, who you're going to see running by here in a minute. So today we're covering an interesting topic. We're doing some myth debunking today. So a common myth in running is that running is bad for your knees. So we're going to debunk that myth today and talk a little bit about how running does affect the cartilage in your knees. Yeah, are you out of breath?
A little bit.
So how was your run?
Felt pretty good. So we're back again at the same location we were last time. And as I was running, I had a question. How does it feel if you have some sort of meniscus tear or some sort of tear to the cartilage in your knees? And more importantly, is running going to make it so that I can't walk when I get older?
Good question. So the meniscus is, in your knee, there's two kind of circular pieces of cartilage, and that makes up your meniscus.
Mm-hmm.
It sits on top of your tibial plateau, or the top of your shin bone, which your femur rests inside of. So if you've torn that, you'll often feel some like clicking or popping sensation. It can be quite painful, but a popping and clicking sensation is common. Oftentimes it's really painful with twisting type motions. So I don't know if you can see my knees, but like if you do I'll back up a little bit. This type of motion can be very painful or even impossible if you have a meniscus tear.
Okay. All right. So if I do want to run for a long time, we're injury to recovery, but one of the things that we might want to think about is prevention in the first place. What do we think about? What should we think about?
So you're referring to running for a long time, like well into your golden years, or just running for a long time, like long distances, marathon type distances, or both?
I'm referring to long into my golden years, because between the two of us, let's just face it, I'm a little bit older than you. I have a little bit of experience of having maybe a couple more injuries, and I'm feeling like I want to make sure that I am able to run when I get into my golden years.
Sure.
And then the other one is, I also do think about it from a distance perspective, because I know that sometimes miles, the thought out there is that if you put too many miles on, it makes it hard for you to be able to run over long distances or over the rest of your life.
Yeah, those are great questions. So we've probably all heard the statement before that running is bad for your knees, or if you run distances, you're going to wear out your knees and you won't be able to walk when you get old.
Yeah.
And really that's just a myth. And so we actually have some data on that now. And there's actually less chance of you developing arthritis if you're a recreational runner than if you are not a runner. And so part of that probably has something to do with the fact that you're maintaining a healthier body weight, because becoming overweight is one of the higher risk factors for developing arthritis in your knees. If you are an elite athlete marathon runner, and elite marathon runners, so they're running like over 100 miles per week. Most normal people, if you have a full-time job or if you have a family, you don't have time to do that.
No, I don't.
So if you are an elite marathon runner, there is some evidence that shows you may be more predisposed to some knee arthritis when you get older. But this is a very small sliver of all the runners. So most of us who are recreational runners, or even if we're a little bit competitive, like running is far better for your knees. The research shows it's probably going to be a lot better for your knees than it is going to be harmful to them.
That's good to know, because I've accepted the fact that I'm a recreational runner. I have had times in my life where I put in quite a few miles. When I was training for a marathon, that would be one of those times.
Yeah.
How about this though? What about running on hills? Does that have any impact on the knees and the longevity of your ability to run?
So running up hills is actually quite good for your knees as far as it being just a good workout, and you're usually going a little bit slower up hills. Running downhill is slightly higher risk. Mm-hmm. Really the key to doing that though is to build into it gradually. So say you want to get accustomed to running on flat surfaces first, and then when you start introducing hills, just introduce them gradually. So don't go do like 10 hill repeats on your first hill workout. Just start with 1 or 2 and make sure you respond to that well, and build up real gradually until you build up to whatever challenge or race you're working towards. But don't go from 0 to 90 all in the same day.
Don't sign yourself up for one of the mountain runs, trail runs that they have that goes like 3,000 feet in 5 miles. Oh, that would be a painful run.
Yeah, hills are a completely different ballgame than running on flat ground, so it works the muscles and the joints a lot differently. And so that's where we see a lot of injuries pop up, is when people do not condition themselves appropriately for hills.
And I would imagine that goes beyond just the knees that we're talking about here. There's other injuries that can happen when you're doing hills as well, like ankle sprains and things like that.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, stepping in a hole, I mean, there's always a risk of having an ankle sprain. Running downhill, we see a lot of hamstring strains.
Oh, okay.
You can have ankle problems and foot problems. Running up hills, more common injuries are going to be like Achilles tendonitis type things, or calf cramping or calf strains.
Cool. Well, I can't think of any other questions when I'm thinking about longevity and running, unless you have something else to add.
One thing I would add is that, some people may go for a run and their knees are sore afterward, and so they might have this, maybe they even heard from somebody a long time ago that running is bad for your knees, and they're like, well, I'm not going to do that again because I don't want my knees to wear out. And so the problem is not that you've gone for a run, the problem is probably that you weren't running before you went for that run, and so you didn't have enough history of running. And so just start out gradually, and if you haven't run for a long time, or maybe if you have some health conditions, if you're overweight, or maybe you already have a little bit of knee pain or arthritis, then it's okay to start with a walking program. The health benefits you get from walking are very similar to the health benefits you get from running. So if you're worried about knee pain, just think about gradual transitions. So start with a walking program, and you can maybe walk 100 steps and then jog 10 steps, walk 100 steps and jog 10 steps, and get used to that, and you can gradually start to jog more and walk a little bit less until you're jogging 100%. And so just gradual transitions.
That actually reminds me of our video, and if you guys want to look at it, it's our running for the long term video. That's the same type of concept that we have with that. You talked about in that one, if I remember right, the importance of loading and putting load either on your back. I imagine the knees is also part of the thing that you want to continue to strengthen and do that.
Yeah, and so we all know that if you exert a muscle and put a force through it, your muscle is going to respond to that it might get sore initially, but then it'll build back stronger.
Yeah.
And so your cartilage is not the same as muscle, but to a certain extent it is somewhat like that as well, where putting some load on your cartilage is actually healthy for it. That's what your body was built for. And not ever putting a load on it is not good for it. That is much worse for it than running.
Yeah. Kind of the Big and Large thing from what's the Disney movie? But basically, you just come to a point where you don't want to become an amoeba that doesn't actually have bones. So
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Blaine.
Yeah.
And we really appreciate Recover Physical Therapy for giving us these insights. So.
Happy to do it. So if anyone ever tells you running is bad for your knees, you can debunk that myth, because it is not.
All right. Thanks so much.